How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Plus lineup has been leaked by the fine folks over at Deal Labs. You guys know the deal. They've been on point with their Plus leaks for, I feel like, over 2 years now. But, yeah, I feel like this is a really good month, man, but I also feel like people are gonna complain about it, so I don't know these days. You know, sometimes it's all over the place as far as if people are satisfied or not, but man, I'm looking at this lineup and I'm like, this is pretty darn solid, all things considered, so let's talk about it. First of all, right off the top, Mass Effect Legendary Edition on PlayStation 4. We'll talk about that in a second, but if you're telling me that's not a good offering, either you are an EA Access subscriber or you already own the game. But yeah, one of the best gaming trilogies of all time in one collection. It's pretty tremendous, so that's an awesome offering. Biomune, I actually like that as an offering. I know that it was one of the most disappointing games of 2021, and it had a lot of buzz around it back then, but I like that as an offering, and I'll explain why in a little bit. And then there is DKO Divine Knockout. Now, this is a brand new multiplayer game coming from the folks over at Hi-Rez Studios and Redbeard Games. So this is a brand new game, so whenever you get a new release, and the fact is it's a multiplayer game, so you're already incentivizing people to check out the game, give it a little bit of a jolt up right out the gate. We've seen this be very successful in the past, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's break this down from the top and why I'm very happy with this month. Again, these are games outside of DKO that I all own, but I try to assess it objectively. So, with your Essential subscription, right off the top, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, you get Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. That's 3 games that are tremendous. Mass Effect 1 is one of those games from 2007 that show its age. 2007 is one of those years where there was a bunch of game releases like Uncharted 1 and whatnot that they haven't aged the best, and then they got like a follow-up title, Mass Effect 2, Uncharted 2, where that version of the game, or that sequel, really still holds up really well, and that's the case with Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 1 is still a good game. You can go back and play it, no problem. They try to do what they can to try to bring it up to the level of ME2 and ME3. Just not there, but you know, them's the breaks. You're still getting all 3 games in one collection. Mass Effect 1 is good. Mass Effect 2, in my opinion, is one of the greatest games ever created. I really don't think that is a stretch. I don't think that's hyperbole. That game is just tremendous from a lot of different angles. When you assess that game from a gameplay standpoint, a narrative standpoint, and then a pacing standpoint, all of those elements are done very, very strongly. So again, I think Mass Effect Legendary Edition, a home run offering as far as that is concerned. And then, you know, Mass Effect 3 obviously has a bit of controversy with the ending, but if you look beyond that, the game itself is a pretty darn well-made game, so I'm pretty happy with Mass Effect Legendary Edition as a whole. You're getting 3 games as well. If you want to talk about, you know, is this 3 free games with Essential, or is it 5 free games, you could make that argument. But yeah, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, really solid offering, all things considered. Next up, Biomune. Again, Biomune was a game that was a colossal disappointment back in 2021. I was incredibly excited for it, and I didn't hate the game as much as everybody else, but was it worth $60? Absolutely not. It was not worth $60, but did it have some charming elements? Were there some unique elements and some cool elements in an open world action RPG? Yeah, there was a lot of customizability. The gameplay, while I felt it got redundant, it did try some different things. And believe it or not, commercially, this game actually did fairly well. Like, I believe they broke even on the development costs of this game pretty quickly after release. Now, I'm not saying that'll pave the way for a Biomune 2, because I think, you know, people that picked up Biomune were a little bit disappointed by it, so I don't know if they'd be gung-ho about checking out a sequel. But the fact is, you're not paying $60 here for Biomune. You're getting an open-world action RPG with a good bit of content with your Plus subscription, and I have to say, when you consider it from that angle, it is fine as a accessory add-on game to Mass Effect Legendary Edition, because ME is gonna be the game that's like the headlining title. That is the game that's gonna draw people in this month for Plus Essential. So Biomune being like an extra game, you know, one of the secondary offerings, I think that's fine. I think you can offer games like a Biomune and games that aren't received as well as, let's say, Mass Effect, if they aren't the top game, the headlining game for a Plus month. I think that's totally fine. Especially when Biomune is a game I think a lot of people, you know, decided to skip out on back when it initially came out because the reviews weren't that strong. Well, now if you're a Plus subscriber, you just get it with your subscription, and I think that's fantastic. It does have a PlayStation 5 upgrade as well, and a pretty solid upgrade. I would say give it a look. You know, go into it with your expectations in line, and again, this game did not get great reviews. It's got a 66 on Metacritic, and for good reason. That's probably a pretty, a pretty accurate score of what the game is. But if you want to play something that's a little bit rough around the edges, but has some unique elements, I think you'll be not pleasantly surprised by Biomune, but I think you'll end up having a decent time with the game. Let's put it that. I don't want to, like, make it seem like this game is way better than it is, because it absolutely has its fair share of issues. I think this game has some of the worst narration of all time as well, by the way. But, yeah, it's also very, very colorful. You got this post-apocalyptic world, but it's an incredibly colorful world as well. Then lastly, we have Divine Knockout DKO. Was not familiar with this game at all, but it is a 3D fighting multiplayer title. KO the gods in the world's only third-person platform fighter. Become a small but mighty god of myth, brawl in all 3 dimensions, and knock your friends off the map to reign supreme. So this has a lot of information rolling out already. Evolving battlegrounds. Each arena features a new mechanic that players must master to win. Some crumble over time, while others feature deadly traps. Unleash godly powers. Hurl boulders as Hercules. Swing Excalibur as King Arthur. Or play as Thor. Unleash each god's devastating abilities at the push of a button. In DKO's core 3v3 mode, each round is a new adventure and a new mode like Knockout or King of the Hill. Or play intense 2v2 and 1v1 duels that focus entirely on combat, full cross-platform play. So that's nice. Play your way. And constantly updated as well. New gods, maps, cosmetics, and modes are going to be released regularly. So this game does have in-app purchases. I'm curious. I don't think it's a free-to-play game, but Hi-Rez has dropped free-to-play titles in the past, but I feel like they would make it abundantly clear. I don't know if this is a case where it's gonna be pay-to-play, but then with Plus, or excuse me, it's gonna be free-to-play, but then Plus gets you some additional in-game items. That might be what it ends up being, so I will figure that out and let you guys know when the game actually drops. But yeah, that's DKO Divine Knockout. That'll be free with Plus come December the 6th. And also, given that, this is a multiplayer title, we've seen it in the past. I'm not saying this is gonna be a Rocket League. I'm not saying this is gonna be a Fall Guys, but we have seen that multiplayer games right out the gate being offered on Plus that could jolt up the player base, that could open up the game to an avenue of new players. Now, in the case of Fall Guys, in the case of Rocket League, I think even without Plus, those games would have been pretty successful. But, Plus definitely didn't hurt the titles either, so it remains to be seen if Divine Knockout will end up being like that, but it is something to consider when you do talk about it being offered as a Plus game as a whole. So that is going to do it for me. Again, I think when you assess this entire lineup, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Biomune, DKO, Divine Knockout, those are some really, really solid additions to the lineup, and I think people should be pretty satisfied with it, unless it's a case of you own Mass Effect, you think Biomune's a garbage game, and Divine Knockout, you're not into multiplayer games, or whatever the case may be. But that's gonna do it for me. I give you guys my input based on the leak from Deal Labs. Let me know your thoughts. Sound off in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.